Do what?
Starting to record. Be quiet.
Oh.
Yeah, so shut the hell up.
It's only 15 seconds. I think you can handle it.
Waterboy's killing him! Best tackler I've seen since Joe Montana.
Joe Montana was a quarterback, you idiot.
Man, you mean we kept John quiet this whole time for no reason?
The fuck?
All right. And for you YouTube listeners, this is what we have to go through to keep these two quiet. All right, shut up.
Waterboy's killing him! Best tackler I've seen since Joe Montana.
Joe Montana was a quarterback, you idiot.
I said Joe Montana.
Welcome to Rage Quit Wire. We got myself, Pete, with Chris, and our Joe Montana, or Joe Montana, whatever you want to call him, comeback kid Stokes.
Hi, Puddin'.
And you did have a nice comeback in the tournament we played this weekend.
Well, I got lucky after I got unlucky.
And then you got lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we went to a tournament down in Atlanta, which was always fun because we actually had a really good turnout. We won't go through the battle report, but we'll talk about that probably first here in a minute. We're going to talk a little bit about Fangtooth of the veteran type. He got a little spoiled on Monday, I believe, where Jamie Perkins was in a match and they actually used him. And people got to see a little bit of what he does, but we got the full card now here on Thursday, and we're going to go ahead and share that with people. And... Yep, and then we're going to talk about our experience at this tournament and what we think about the state of the union and brewers. So before we get into that, you guys have anything you want to share with the listeners or us?
No, I just like your pun. State of the Union. That's good.
Yeah, you like how I did that there?
Yeah, well
We're
done.
just not going to interrupt that shit with a bunch of clapping like the real State of the Union.
Yeah, we're not going to stand and, have 20-minute ovations and, all that stuff.
Those State of the Union addresses are a pain in the ass. They're like a masturbation device for politicians.
Yeah, and I think we're going to switch this up this week. We're going to go ahead and we'll talk about that Fangtooth at the end of this because there's some news and some things that we just want to kind of discuss getting into, just some Guild Ball stuff. So why are you being so loud on your end, John?
What did I do?
I don't know. You listening to like TV in the background or something?
Yeah, it's like you're rubbing the mic.
Oh, sorry. I thought I muted it. I guess I didn't hit the mute.
Well, way to fucking go.
It's like you had
Getting comfy, guys. Gotta get comfy.
Like you had a T-Rex in the background or something. Just breathing on him.
No, edit this out. Let me go cut the fan off.
All right, yeah, you need to cut that off.
Got about that.
So,
Wow, it's like an amateur hour over here.
So while John's figuring his life out, something we've been doing is we've been doing our rookie league, and the rookies are starting to get a little ridiculous. I know.
Mine's maxed out.
Well, I know, like my rookie Salvo, I walked into a bunch of what was I playing today? I was playing Union, or I was playing against Union, and I walked into like his Fangtooth rookie, and he had two other models next to him. And I did the bolts of flurry or flurry of bolts, whatever it's called, 3 times because you can do it with his heroic. And I did straight up 9 damage to like 3 different models. It was pretty sweet. I don't know, anything exciting from your rookie, or did he just die? I saw him die.
No. He took Tapper way down. He took Tapper to like 1 on like a single activation.
Yeah, I saw him and Princess were on Tapper.
Yeah. So they went into that, but yeah, that boiler is going to be fun to play with. I hope that they adjust boiler to where he looks like what I chose as far as the puppy pal abilities. I hope that's an adjustment to his card in season 4.
Yeah, I think they can do some really cool things with him and Princess interacting more because right now they just have assist, right?
Well, yeah, but it's like an amped up assist that gives like.
Well, I'm talking about regularly. They have assist.
Oh yeah. I'm talking. I thought you were referring to the card or where I.
No, you have like super assist right now.
Yeah, they should just have that.
Oh man. So
that would be the tits.
So Rookie League's going good. It's fun. Like I said, I mean, you don't need the special rookie model to do it. So if you have like 6 to 8 guys that are looking for, or girls that are looking for, something fun to do this summer, a Rookie League's just it's a ton of fun. These rookies get really ridiculous. So we had that happen. And then, John, you and I went down to a tournament in Atlanta. And this was actually like a pretty like beefy tournament.
I mean, the Falconers not so launch tournament.
Yeah, so it was supposed to be a Falconers like release tournament because they were supposed to be out in a thing. So it was called the Falconers non-release party. So
Okay.
yeah, so it was a really fun event. You want to kind of just your general thoughts of it, John, just from the weekend?
Yeah, there were a lot of, I guess you could say, heavy hitters there. A lot of high-ranked players. We had a lot of competition. We ended up with 11, I think.
Yeah, we ended up with 11 at the tournament.
It's the first tournament we've went to, and how long there weren't multiple hunter players?
Oh man, yeah, you were the only hunter player, right?
It was still riding the train, I guess. I think. Union was there. We saw Union and Brewers, and Union
And more Brewers.
and Brewers,
And then Union.
and then we had one blacksmith, one hunter, one rat.
Oh wait,
And one mortician.
it was like 3 Union players and 2 Brewers.
Yeah, that was almost half the field.
Yeah, there's 11 players. That's pretty good there.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. And to no surprise, I mean, the Brewers and Union placed pretty well. I mean, the only Brewer player that didn't finish well was just somebody who I think isn't quite at the level of a lot of people at the tournament yet. So I think that once he gets better playing that style of play, that I mean he'll love the Brewers because I played into Allen's Brewers and I mean it was a close game, but it just the positioning that Decimate put me in because I ended up killing Decimate, but I still lost just because of her threatening my team so much. I had to kind of play back, which I don't usually like to do, and that ended up costing me the game because it gave him a stronger positioning. So Decimate's definitely something that needs to be tweaked a little bit because her threat range is ridiculous.
Good Lord, the threat range, the damage output.
Yeah, you played Bryce's Brewers. How did he use Decimate against you? Like, what did you notice about her in the game?
Well, after how's that, I thought, Brewers is going to be a Scotha game for a while, but then Decimate come out, and so I threw Theron back at him to try to control Decimate some, which I thought I did okay with. Just trying, and I couldn't control her completely because the acrobatic and being able to dodge around, but I kind of limited how many kills she could get for a while. But good Lord, she is all over the place and doing so much damage.
Yeah, and in my game, I ended up basically killing her at the bottom of 2 or the top of 2, just because I had her whittled down with some damage from turn 1 at range with engineers. And then I ended up bringing Ballista in, and I knew it was going to be close, but I ended up spiking enough where I could drop her. But the problem is just that even though I dropped her, Esther's still puts out a ton of damage, so does Spigot. So Esther's came in, knocked Ballista down, Spigot finished him off, and Allen ended up getting a second kill with Esther's I think he got into Ratchet, and then he got 2 goals with Friday, and it's a tougher team with this Decimate chick. I mean, it's harder to control them, especially in an Esther's team. Tapper, I feel like you can control a little better just because, Decimate's kind of on a leash then. Whereas with Esther's, you can kind of just sing at her and go.
Yeah. But then, I mean, the thing I like about her with the Tapper list is you're going to keep her in the death bubble, the traveling death bubble, and she just becomes another heavy hitter with Hooper in that death bubble. With Esther's, you send her out, and usually, unless you can second wind her and get her the hell out of there, she's probably you're going to send her out and trade 2 for 2, or if you're lucky, 6 for 2, 4 for 2.
Yeah.
But she's going to die.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Like, I killed her, and I'm like, okay, now I'm in a good spot. I can keep going. But then she came right on where the ball was, took the ball, and snapshot to Friday for the win. And I lost 12-10 to Allen. So, I mean, Allen's a great player, but just the position Decimate put me in was pretty fucking brutal. And you played against her a little bit today, Chris. Did you have any kind of, thoughts about her just in the few games you played against her?
Definitely a crazy threat range, and in my game, though, she got stretched out a little bit, so I put Filet to her, and that was the end of that.
Yeah.
And then getting back into the game was tough.
Yeah, that's really the key that I've been telling people with Decimate is you almost have to, lure her out a little bit, hope that they overextend, and then if they do overextend, make them pay, right? That was one thing that I talked to you, Russ, about when he was playing you today. I was like, did Decimate die already? He's like, yeah. I was like, you sent her out there too far, man. You need to kind of be a little more patient with her. Don't just, auto send her out.
Yeah, and then, like, in the next sentence, you told him, don't play scared, man. So what the fuck do you want the guy to do?
Well, no, he wanted to be timid
Thanks,
with how much influence he puts on Tapper. And I'm like, dude, just put 6 on Tapper. He's not going to drop him from full to dead in one
I almost
activation.
did, though, with that amped up boiler.
Yeah.
So
Tapper's a tough SOB.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then the other experience that we saw is that we saw 3 Union players who did a lot of work. Our teammate Chad, played around with Union, and I think he's getting a better hold of it for the STC. But then Gabe and Mike Rhodes were the ones that when I saw him playing the Union teams, I was like, man, this is only going to get worse once Season Spigot comes out and Bet Fangtooth comes out.
Fuck Pride, by the way.
Yeah, do you want to kind of speak to that?
It makes, I thought Rage, when I see Rage on the table, no matter who I'm playing, I'm thinking, okay, I need to put some ball pressure on him, because you don't want to get in a fight with Rage. There's very few teams that can win that fight. I mean, maybe Brewers can now. Maybe, Chris, I don't know how your Butchers do with him, but
No,
I
they're
think
still not good enough yet.
Go ahead.
They're still not good enough yet. It's really simple.
Yeah. I mean, I think I see Rage on the other side of the table. I think ball pressure. Well, fuck, how many? Unless you're like a heavy scoring team like Shark, and even then, Pride makes it so much harder.
Yeah. So the goal rush thing, goalkeeper, whatever you want to call it, it sucks, but that's really not going to be making that big of an impact. It's going to stop you from doing just easy movement. You're just going to be aware of staying 6 inches away from the line. The problem that I've noticed with the line is that once that predatory gaze is up, all your goal runs that, like, for example, with the Engineers, I'm like, okay, I can just put, 2 on the Spider and I can do an easy goal run, or I can do, 3 on Hoist, or I can do 2 on Velocity or 3 on Velocity and just get an easy goal that way. The fact that you have to spend 10 inches away, you have to spend an extra influence just to score your layup goal, right? Just for an easy goal that you planned on, and then all of a sudden predatory gaze pops up. It makes all those easy goals just get fucked over. And I saw this when Chris was playing the Lion against, I think you were playing, who was the fish player, Francisco?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
he tried to do this salt goal run, and then when he got in, I was like, oh, you can't even do it, Francisco, because freaking predatory gaze is up. And
Yeah, and I didn't even realize this was the very first time I played Pride. I didn't even realize that it was influence. I thought it was like extra momentum you had to spend. That predatory gaze, though, just kind of fucks up your entire momentum, or influence distribution in the maintenance phase, because you don't know when it's going to go up, and when you're trying to manage who gets what influence, that can just suck.
Well, and then as a player, I was like, okay, well, let me go ahead and try to kill the lion so then predatory gaze goes away. But then I looked at it and I'm like, oh, the lion's got a double push on 2. I can't freaking, with Engineers being mostly 1-inch melee, I can't, do that because he's just going to push me away with the counterattack. So there's just, like you said, John, Rage was already kind of a problem to deal with just because of the pieces you could have. But then the fact that now it's going to be harder for you to score the goals, it's going to cost you extra resources. It makes the Union that much stronger. And now we have these 2 new models, one from last week and one this week, that also help out the Union a bunch.
Well, Season Spigot and Fangtooth are going to make this team so hard to deal with.
Yeah, the interesting thing is, the irony is that Pride doesn't help Brisket out as much because you want teams trying to score back
you want the
on
ball
you
to be live.
so that you can keep doing stuff. Meanwhile, Pride is like perfect for Rage because Rage is usually going to leave a mascot like Strongbox, for instance, that's slow, behind anyway, and get out of that aura. So leaving Pride behind, Pride still gets to do his thing and guard the goal, and then your opponent can't score, and you're able to get into melee with them with Rage, which is what Rage wants to do anyway. Like, Pride is a huge buff for Rage.
I don't know. I think Pride's going to be really good with Brisket, though, because you've got Spigot, who can chase the ball around and ball's gone it to her. And then you're going to have Fangtooth, which is going to be a beater. So brisket and miss can just chase the ball while your opponent has a even harder time scoring.
Yeah, so I mean, the way I was telling it to, I think I was talking to Joe about this today, where I can definitely see that, like you were talking about how brisket still needs a rework, and we agreed last week that, yeah, she probably needs some buffs. But even now, just without any buffs to her, these 2 or 3 models help her out extremely, because not only do you have Mist running around trying to get the ball now, which is great, but now you have Seasoned Spigot, who has balls gone, and who has other abilities to, get the ball back. He has close control, so he's definitely
4-8 kick.
Yeah, 4-8 kick, which is awesome for her. You have you have decent knockdowns with Fangtooth. You also have Benediction, who, if you want, can get to the ball and stuff. The point is, now with these new models, especially Seasoned Spigot, it's going to be a lot easier for a brisket team to get the ball. So, I mean, you go in, charge in, ball's gone, kick the ball to brisket or whoever. And if you're successful with that pass, you can, hey, let me go ahead and dodge off that with Seasoned Spigot. Okay, well, now I'm going to use Seasoned Spigot's Heroic, which makes a model kick it back to him. Okay, well, now brisket's going to kick it back to him. Okay, well, now Seasoned Spigot's going to score. So the point that I'm getting at is, yeah, she could still use a rework, but Seasoned Spigot and Fangtooth are going to help her out. And we'll talk about Fangtooth, how we envision him being used later when we get to him.
Easy way to fix this problem of the Union getting too many toys is when this new box drops, the order has been released. You can't use them with Rage anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they decided to wait until Season 4. It seems like a pretty obvious move to me. Would be like, hey, the box is now out. All the models are out for the order. You can't use the X models from the order in regular Union anymore.
I mean, it's just like a minor guild getting dropped to me.
Yeah, I agree.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I don't know why they decided to wait. I don't know if they want Union to be this year's, farmers. I don't know.
Some Union fans over there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were talking about it, and we're like, it's just one of those things where the Union is getting so many kind of models and buffs, and they're just going to be really strong. And we said not only for the STC, but also for any tournaments until SteamCon, you're going to see a ton of Union and a ton of Brewers players. It's just it's going to be inevitable.
Because they're the strongest teams right now, but I think the margin kind of, there's a little bit of a gap there between any other team.
But hey, John, at least that won't be the case for like the actual World Championships, since they're going to change the rules right before.
Yeah, so it's going to be Season 4 for the World Championships in England.
How do you feel about that, John?
How did I miss this? And how much bullshit is that? I'm almost glad that I can't make it to SteamCon to play at Nationals now, because I was planning on winning it, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
And then I was going to go to Worlds, and then I don't live in the United Kingdom, so I can't go play test. So it's a huge advantage for people in Britain that can just drive down the street and go play test. So there's so many months ahead of everybody over here that doesn't have access to it.
Yeah, so if you're like one of those top, British players like JJ Layfield and Henry Kay, and there's a bunch of other them, because those guys play a ridiculous amount of Guild Ball over there. It seems like they have a big tournament every weekend, and I wouldn't say unfair, but it's definitely a step ahead to get that access and go play test it before it's released to the general public.
Way to say unfair really nicely.
Well, I am the politician out of the group.
Does that mean that the Season 4 changes just won't be very significant?
Yeah, I doubt that.
No, well, I mean, that very realistically could happen.
Here's an example, though, and this kind of goes the other way. So a lot of people are hopping on this Brewers train, bandwagon, hype train, whatever you want to call it. And if you are doing really well with the Brewers and you qualify for Worlds with Brewers, and then all of a sudden they say, hey, we're going to go ahead and nerf, Vet Decimate, because that's probably going to happen. I mean, a lot of Steamforge people said that's likely to happen, so that this is kind of a quick fix. So you've been playing Brewers, and now all of a sudden, like, oh, I got to play a different guild now, because now the team that I played and that I qualified with and was good with, now they don't quite fit what I like to do, and I'm not as good with them, so now I'm struggling to figure out what team I'm going to play. So it can go both ways, right?
I think at Worlds, the way they should do it is, how many people qualify for Worlds? How many players?
Sure. It's usually, what was it, 8 last year?
Okay, so it's 8, right? So I think the way to do it is you just draw out of a hat which guild somebody gets each round, and that way you truly do have to be the best guild ball player because you have to know all the guilds.
I mean, sure, I guess. All of a sudden you get stuck with fucking blacksmiths and you suck with blacksmiths.
And you get like the worst matchup for him or something like that. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah. And go ahead.
Actually, Mike and I talked about doing that at a tournament, just kind of like a little local thing. Each round you draw the team you got to play.
Yeah, Chris and I have talked about that too. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
It'd be so
well,
much
and I
fun.
think that it would really be telling as far as who's on the ball and who really knows all the guilds and how to play them against whatever your matchup has to be. But they're obviously not going to do something like that in the World Championships. No. But it would be awesome if they did, especially considering the season change immediately before the World Championships, because that would really be another thing that could level the playing field. That way you don't have guys that have just been playtesting Season 4 and trying to figure out how to break it and then are able to just go into this broken system that a whole bunch of other people haven't experienced. And I'm not saying that Season 4 is going to be broken. What I'm saying is obviously having that advantage for months on end enables you to try and take that to the lab and try to mess with it.
Fucking shenanigans is what it is.
John's calling bullshit.
Ugh. Better be glad I'm not going to be able to be there.
Yeah, the old ball coach has too many football games.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I will say for this, I'm actually really excited about it because at SteamCon US, the qualifying tournament's going to be at Season 3 rules, but the regular everyday play, they're going to drop the Season 4 stuff at SteamCon US. So if you're not in those big tournaments, which I anticipate probably, doing okay day one, but I think I'd probably lose a game in there somewhere. And I would love just to sit there Saturday and just play a bunch of Season 4 games. That would be a lot of fun, and I'm really excited that they're doing it. I agree with you, though, that playing Season 4 rules for the World Championships, probably not a great move. But here we are. It's the world we live in.
Here we are.
Same thing with people bitched about, Thresher. Last year during Worlds, people were like, oh, I can't believe they're allowing Thresher. It's going to be a bunch of bullshit. And then Alex Bots won with him, and people were like, see, he won with a guild a lot of people aren't familiar with. And
Yeah, it's sort of like, somebody being able to, like, get the rules for Thresher, kind of play him for some months in advance, and then they change to that rule set with those models right before. Oh, yeah, that's sort of like what they're doing now. I guess this is just going to be a theme every single year.
Yeah, because, if you're...
Let's just change the rules right before
If
Worlds
you're
every
one
year.
of those good theory crafters, like if you're good, like, oh, I'm going to get the paper dolls out, I'm going to go ahead and build this team, I'm going to, go ahead and paper it out, that's great. You're great doing that. That's fine. But, if you're somebody like me who it's like, man, I got to get, like, dozens of games to become, efficient in a guild, then that's just like, man, well, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with this.
Somebody that has 40 games with a guild or a set of rules for a guild is always going to be better than somebody who has, not always, usually going to be better than somebody who has 5 to 10 games with a guild.
Yeah.
Players of even talent level, the guy with more games, I would say is going to win 8, 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Just because the experience and the different matchups, which players and squaddies you want to drop. So
yeah, knowing the combos, the setups, the little tricks of each guild.
Yeah, and to kind of speak to that a little bit, just kind of spitballing off the conversation, and that's something I did with engineers. So, and I recommend this for new players, and even decent players, where it's like I'm trying to learn a new guild and I'm trying to get competitive with them. Something I did this weekend in that Atlanta tournament is I said, okay, I'm going to run the same 5 or 6 models, and I'm not going to adjust it for any matchup. That way I can see how it does, and I can evaluate whether I need to switch models or even the captain out next time I play against that guild. So I just played basically Ballista, Mother, Hoist, Ratchet, Harriet, and then usually Velocity, but one of the games I switched out for Colossus. And I definitely learned a lot that way, and I would recommend to, like I said, newer players or somebody trying to learn a new guild to just, if you go to an event with a new guild, just try running the same, 6-7 models, and just try to learn what works, what doesn't, what's a good matchup, what's a bad matchup, and the different scenarios you're going to use your models, because that really did help me out get an idea. And I think next time I do an event, who knows, maybe I'll just drop Pin Vice the entire time and see how that goes. Which I've been doing for the Rookie League this last week.
You should probably run like souped up Salvo Rookie.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
That would be an awesome one to drop in a tournament.
Yeah, I'm playing the Blaster level, and he does some ridiculous work.
Could you imagine sitting at a tournament and somebody just, playing
Pulls
with
out
the
the-
cards, right? Like, doesn't say a fucking thing, and is just playing with like that amped up level 5 rookie card, front and back.
Okay, well, I'm going to blast you for 4 damage on those 4 models.
And just wait to see if anyone realizes what's going on. Eventually somebody will, of course.
Yeah, but they're going to be like, Salvo's broken.
They're
and
going to be
people are
like,
gonna
what
look
the
at you like,
fuck?
Salvo's not broken. Salvo's kind of meh. So, yeah.
That'd be really funny.
Yeah, it's great.
So yeah, there's home cooking going on in season 4. Got you.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
Well, there was home cooking going on when they were in the U.S. for Alex Bots last year.
So what we're predicting, and like I said, I don't think this is just a Southern thing. I don't think this is just a United States thing. Because other podcasts, I've even heard people talking about this. Like, I heard the guys, I don't know if either one of you have listened to that new podcast, Mediocre Matchup. No? You don't listen to podcasts, Chris.
Or listen to Joe Rogan Experience.
Fair enough. They're out of New York, so they're kind of, relatively close to Klein up there. But they have their own podcast. They're, decent players. They're, going to tournaments. They're competing. And one of the things they were talking about is one of the guys is a Mortician player, and he was talking about, jumping ship to the Brewers. And I was talking to somebody on Twitter, and they were like, oh, my group's getting annoyed with Engineers, so I'm going to switch to Brewers. I'm like, oh, well, you thought they were fucking annoyed with Engineers. Wait till they get a hold of the Brewers. And the point I'm trying to make is I think that around the United States and the world meta, you're going to see a ton of Union players, and you're going to see a ton of Brewer players the last part of this season.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, especially since there's no real good counter to the Union right now.
That's what, and if you sit here and if I say, okay, what's a good counter for the Butchers or what's a good counter for the Masons, usually you can give me a straight answer, right? Masons are, susceptible to plays, Butchers are a glass cannon, all this stuff. But you go, okay, what's a good counter for the Union?
Yep.
Bueller?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I have learned
Bueller?
in my time doing this podcast that it's never the case that something could be like broken or unbalanced. It's clear that every single time we have one of these issues, it must just be that people need to get better and learn new matchups as people shoved in my face repeatedly. So that must be what it is, right?
So you're right. And this is what I like about Guild Ball, right? The better player most times is going to win, and if everything's equal, it's going to come down to mistakes, dice rolls, or just, something you missed. Whatever. The point I'm saying is, if you and I are of equal level, and you drop Union, and I drop, let's just say, Morticians, if we're of equal level, the Union player is probably going to win.
Yeah, it's not just that, it's not an equal level thing. Rage has access to a fucking mascot that's not designed for him.
Okay?
It's real fucking simple.
But he was...
And he's going to have access to...
He was already pretty good before that.
And he's going to have access to other models that are not designed for him.
Wait till we talk about Fangtooth here.
Yeah.
Because imagine Fangtooth with fucking bloody coin on him. Just
Yeah,
imagine that here in a second. Okay, but anyways, what you were saying.
Yeah, so, I mean, the bottom line is, John's absolutely correct.
Always.
Now that this other box is coming out...
Unless you're listening to the pitch.
Yeah, they need to...
Oh.
Anyways.
Why, what did the pitch have to say about it?
I don't know, I didn't really catch their episode this week.
Did you listen to what they had to say, John?
The pitch. Who's that? Oh, you mean like, what are their names? Pam and like Chance up there? I don't know what their name is.
Last Chance Lance.
Fuckers. Half their podcast was talking about our podcast.
Hey, that's good word of mouth for us.
What did they say? That I was a nice guy?
No.
Well,
No.
you and Dan are like boyfriend, girlfriend.
Oh, I don't know if I go that far.
You guys love Butchers together.
I remember when Dan was first getting into Butchers, he would like send me DMs and ask about like Butchers tech. And I'd be like, oh, well, I try this. And he's like, Oh, okay. Yeah, no one said that before. And I'm like, yeah, I know. People think it's wrong. So,
but yeah,
anyway,
basically said John's an idiot. I mean,
what were you an idiot about, John?
I think they said everybody but you was just wrong, and all our opinions were wrong.
Well, there's got to be something wrong with that because normally I'm the one that gets
mainly
shit on.
about Harriet. They were sitting there like, oh well, that Chisel is clearly better than Vet Decimate. Those guys on Rage Quit Wire besides Chris don't know what they're talking about, and they called John Josh.
You should change your nickname to that on Longshanks.
Yep, Josh Stokes.
Josh Stokes.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, so the bottom line is there's all of these models that have come out that are for Sothesians, for the Order, that are not designed to be able to play with Rage, and now Rage is going to have access to them, and John's absolutely on the money. You should be splitting up those guilds at this point. They should be separate guilds. There's no new models to come out for that minor guild, and that's how it needs to be fixed. But
now we're going to see. Well, and you want to know, I'm going to laugh when Season 4 happens, because all these fuckers buying into the Union hype train right now, when Season 4 comes down and they get toned down, people are going to get off that bandwagon and be all pissed off because the Union got nerfed a little bit. Because honestly, I think the Union is going to get nerfed a little bit. I mean, I don't think it's going to be like a super hard nerf, but I think Steamforge has to look at it and say, yeah, we kind of did too much with the Union. We need to tone them down. And
anytime they have 20-something models to choose from, it's a huge advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, meanwhile, I can barely find 10 that I actually would play on my fucking butcher.
Chris is like, I can't even find fucking 6.
Yeah, that's right. That new fucking vet gutter fucking sucks.
How many times have you played her?
Like...
Twice?
No, like probably 6.
Have you?
Yeah.
I haven't seen you drop her.
Yeah, I've played her. Like, it just isn't... All the things that she's supposed to do, it's not as helpful. Like, I'll give you a prime example, and I mentioned this on, I think, a Facebook thread. People start adding up her threat range, and they say things like, oh, well, she's got the grapple hook, so that's 6 extra inches. But it never works out that way because...
It's clumsy.
Yeah, well, and you just don't... It's not a direct line. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you never actually get 6 extra inches, and then you would be engaged with that model, so... In practicality, it works out to being like maybe 3 inches of extra advantage toward the goal. And once you're talking about that type of range, it's not like her goal threat really is that great. She just isn't as good as people would like to tell me that she is. Because they just think I'm complaining about butchers, but the reality is she's on the lower end as far as those vet models.
Okay.
So
maybe your butchers will get a minor guild one day.
Yeah, maybe they will get a minor guild, or maybe they're going to get a shit ton of buffs.
The problem is that even if you do get a minor guild, it's going to get lost, like, on an island, like that show Lost, and you're never going to get it.
So the Falconers, the Butcher's minor guild and the Falconers will be lost somewhere, and we'll get them in 2020 something.
Hey, what's the deal with that Hunter resin stuff? Is that available to... I know it's available to order, but when the hell is that stuff supposed to come out?
Yeah, it's like fucking $80 though.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
That's not... I don't know why you're so pissed off about that.
What are you talking about? These boxes used to come out and cost $50.
Yeah, but you're getting resin, and that's better.
Resin and plastic, big fucking deal.
You don't like potato, do you?
Yeah, like it makes no difference to me.
I don't want resin.
If anything, doesn't the resin, isn't that easier to like warp and melt and shit?
It depends on the quality.
So, I'm just tired of light models because I bump them. I feel like I bump them all over the place and they fall over.
I like metal models as well. I think that they're more elegant.
I want to make some lead bases for all my models so they're just like paperweights.
Yeah, and where'd that sword come from, Theron? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. Who buys a tax?
That looks like a knife.
Theron?
That one right there? Oh, that's his bow.
Yeah, that's like a Bowie knife, and then the bow's on the other side.
Okay.
Jeez, get it.
Yeah, that's not a sword, John. That's his bow. Chad thought it was this huge sword, but it's actually his bow in one hand and a knife in the other.
Yeah, but what's he doing with a knife? Just keep the bow out, man. Let's just shoot things.
He's got a skin.
Well, he has to do something in melee.
Yeah.
And the other, it actually combines the two models, right? Because the other model the limited edition one
these little...
has the knife. Yeah.
Young Theron in his like little crouched hunting stance. He's gonna stab a rabbit or something.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I do not like that that yay car as much.
Why do you call him yay car?
Because that's how you pronounce that J
It's
when
a
it's
soft
like
J?
European-y.
Oh, I just say Jakar.
Okay, well, I don't know which one's right, but either way...
It's like yogging. It's a soft J.
Yeah, see, there you go. Now you're getting it.
French.
So, anyway,
And by the way, it's $80 like Chris said. You get a goal, you get a piece of terrain, you get these alternate sculpts, and it's $80, and it is in resin, and it's not going to be available till August 3rd. So pretty much when
lost.
because it's lost like the Minor Guild.
How funny would it be if the navigators are the ones that find their way to us first?
Well, or what? No, somebody said it would be even funnier if the navigators also got lost on the boat.
That would be funny.
That's so funny.
Oh, and they got this other box. Okay, so they got both boxes.
You got both. You can order.
So what comes in that one?
It's just the other stuff. You got the bear standing up. You got Ulfer in the same stupid pose.
You got the moon box and the sun box.
Yep.
Because the bear
I like
worships
that
the
ball
moon.
though. The one that's in the trap. It's almost like the ball I designed,
Oh.
except for the random tent.
Tell you what, I don't like that Cena as much.
Some people like it without. Like I would chop off the spikes on the new Cena sculpt where she's standing up.
I kind of wish that it had like a demon spirit in it, but I mean,
Oh my god.
I wish it was Vetsina.
Oh my god, Vetsina would be so good.
I do like that Chaska with that gun out,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like
staring
that
down the
model better.
barrel.
What do I get first, Vetsina or Minerva?
Yeah, probably Vetsina.
What do you think of that Hearn in that box?
Eh,
I like the alt sculpt one that came in the in that
See, I think that looks like baby
Falconer's
Hearn.
kit. Yep. Hey, you see this Broken Toad veteran biscuit?
Yeah, I'm gonna get it.
Seabiscuit. All right. So, anyways, enough talking about these models. Let's talk.
No,
about...
that's not the sea. That's not sea biscuit.
No, it's just the veteran.
Because that's like
biscuit.
slutty brisket, like earlier,
Wow.
back before she like found her way in the gospel.
It's gonna be like that, huh?
How else do you want to break it down?
Also, just a heads up. Read the blacksmith's background fluff today. Fucking awesome.
Okay, I'll have to get on.
Yeah, I got some really cool, just little background stuff for kind of how they are. So a lot of people, just before we get to Fangtooth here in a second, they said that Furnace is now their patron saint of just models. Because apparently Furnace, since he doesn't make weapons for like armies anymore, because the war's over, right? So he never finishes a sword. He just, will start them off and he just never finishes them. So people said that's like their models. They always start them and they never finish them, as far as painting goes. So he's the patron saint of lazy hobbyists.
Oh, I like it. That's my kind of guy.
That's like John's Brewers.
Brewers. Let's see. Brewers, Masons, blacksmiths,
Alchemists.
alchemists. But falconers aren't painted yet.
All right, so John, give us a rundown of Veteran Fangtooth. What's something that you like about him and something you don't like about him?
Well, I like that he hits you on the mouth.
Okay, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Hey, he is the first model other than veteran Captain Salt to have 2 damage on 1. He has momentous 3 damage on 2.
Yeah, that's dope.
Do I need to say that again? To be momentous 3 damage on 2, momentous 6 damage on 5. Holy shit!
So he's only attack 5, but the thing is, when he's in the Solthesian lineup, it's like, okay, whatever. He won't get to that, last column that much. But the amount of time you can play him in a rage team where he has bloody coin, that's gonna be pretty fucking good.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
gonna.
yeah, I think he'll get that momentous 4 damage on 2.
Or how about that momentous 7 on 5?
Yeah, I was just being conservative there.
I mean, you're not gonna, even with some help, like unless you're just destroying a model with like a bunch of people ganged up, knocked down model. You're probably not going to see that 6 very often, but just the 2 hits where you're doing 4 damage, that's going to suck.
I'll tell you this. My first thought was, oh my God, I'm quitting Guild Ball. But then I turned the card over because I was like, Red Furying this guy is going to be the most broken thing Guild Ball's ever done. And I turned it over and saw Broken Ties. And you can't use Red Fury with him. And I went, okay. I guess I'll keep him.
Okay, I can keep playing Guild Ball.
Well, and it's interesting because they are acknowledging that they recognize this model as a problem with Rage.
Yeah.
But how much of a problem are they willing to let him be? And apparently they think the only thing that needs to change is Red Fury.
Well, so here's the thing I also thought of. So if he has broken ties on his card right now, when Season 4 comes out, he's not going to be allowed to play with Rage. So are they changing this card during Season 4 transition? Because that's...
I would imagine you have to, just given the Union logos that are on the card, right? Like, you're going to have to change them to order logos.
Yeah, I guess
so. I think
right.
they're planning on that. But let's talk about the back of this card, because I think the back of this card has some interesting things. I want to start right at the bottom.
Okay,
if you don't mind.
Talk about the bottom.
So John asked when we saw this card, the first question was, how is Resilience different than Gluttonous Mass?
And your answer was?
And my answer was, I have no fucking clue. Let me talk to somebody at Steamforged. And so now I'm going to give you like something to look forward to for all of you players that are looking forward to Season 4. Gluttonous Mass is going away. That's not going to be what that ability is called anymore.
Okay.
Instead, they're changing it to Resilience. And the reason why they're doing that is they want it to be able to stay in theme, but be able to be applied to other models that they think it's appropriate for that aren't gluttonous.
Okay.
Okay? So, of course, as soon as I heard this, I messaged back and I was like, Ox seems like a pretty resilient guy.
Always bringing it back.
To which I was responded back, yeah, I bet you do. I'm not surprised.
Wow.
So, if you want to know what I'm really, really hoping for, that
resilient Ox.
Santa brings in Season 4, I'm hoping for Resilient Ox. But I think that this is incredibly valuable to know that as you're looking at certain models that maybe in theme should have an ability like Gluttonous Mass, they're going to be opening that up, and that resilience ability is going to be something that you see on more models.
Well, yeah, because there's plenty of models in other guilds where you're like, well, this dude has a crap ton of armor, or if you're like, oh, well, this, girl is really shifty and shady, she should ignore the first hit because she's almost like smoke, right?
Yeah.
So I could definitely see a lot of characters using this model on their card just because, they would be hard to hit or almost impossible to hit until you swung one time. So yeah. I think that's a good point to bring up.
But it would definitely be a fix for Ox, right? Because how many times does Ox go in, the counterattack happens, and he gets knocked down or pushed out or whatever? He would be a perfect one to go through, get that added, and then it stays in theme because, after he got jumped in Season 1 and then was able to come back from that, obviously he's a pretty resilient, tough guy.
Yeah, so here's some things I like about Fangtooth. He's going to be sitting in the middle of the pitch. That's just his job. And this ground pound thing is going to be awesome. His knockdown double push is going to be effective. The ground pound I like because you can knock down multiple models with that. And with Seasoned Spigot having floored and all that damage that he can do, really Fangtooth, and I'm talking more for the church, obviously he's going to be a fine addition to Rage. That's not a question, okay?
I'd rather take him than Benediction.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is, looking at, I'm focused on the church, because, yeah, we can keep focusing on Rage and all these fun tools he's getting, but fuck that guy. So, but talking about the church, and with Seasoned Spigot's going to love this guy, because he's basically setting him up, and Seasoned Spigot's just taking his boot and just shoving its, holy greatness in where the, sun doesn't shine, because all that damage that Seasoned Spigot can do, being tack 7, probably tack 8, because Fangtooth's probably still on the target, because Fangtooth has 2-inch reach. So Seasoned Spigot's going to love Fangtooth. It's just going to be those two are going to be like BFFs. So whenever Spigot doesn't have a ball opportunity or doesn't have a chance to go get the ball, he's just going to kill. And this is going to make Brisket even better, because Seasoned Brisket had a problem getting 3 goals. That's like always been her problem since she came out. These two and Benediction are going to give her options for the 2-2 game.
So you think people are going to run Fangtooth, Benediction, Seasoned Spigot,
Mist,
and Mist
as their squaddies?
That's gonna be,
I think that's a solid set of squaddies.
That's really good.
Yeah, say that 3 times fast.
Especially with the pot-bellied pass extending the threat ranges of the scorers.
Tell me about that pot belly.
So like Mist and I mean all the scores, they make the pass to Fangtooth. He can. It's good, isn't it? Like Bonesaw does. You immediately get the pass back by spending one momentum.
Yeah.
Is that the same thing Bonesaw does? It's similar.
Except for it's not pot bellied.
Oh,
It's I forget what it's called, but it's definitely something else.
yeah, but similar. Instead of
Similar ability.
Instead of Brisket having to use her I'm open, she can do the pot bellied pass, which is kick. He's a 2-6 kick.
Yeah.
Make the kick back to get that extra that extra dodge.
Yeah.
He's gonna miss that thing all the fucking time. How much you
Well,
want to bet?
so I don't think you necessarily you can use this to obviously get a pass to get some extra momentum or use it to get an extra dodge. I think what you're going to see this more for is let's say you have one of your scores. Let's say Mist is way up there, right? He's up by the goal, and your other teammates are really not anywhere near him. You could almost use this to ricochet the ball to him. Maybe, Brisket goes, collects the ball. You see Fangtooth in the middle of the pitch. You kick it to Fangtooth, success. You pot belly pass it up to Mist. So you use them almost as like a pinball effect, right? To get the ball up to your scorer, maybe where nobody else is.
And then you.
Oh my gosh.
And then you snapshot it.
I mean,
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
you could if he's in range, but if not, you just clear the ball up there and wait for Mist to go collect it.
Imagine Spigot kicking 8 inches to Fangtooth, kicking 6 inches to Mist, who snapshots from 8 inches away.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
Magic
the other
Christmas
thing that's
line,
going to
but
be
it's fun.
really, really tough about that is since both of these models have that Solthesian benefit to Mist, if you're within range of that Potbelly Pass, that means that on a future activation, Mist would be in range to do that Solthesian dodge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, all the models we talked about are Solthesian. Something else I like about this model, and this is another nerf to freaking Alchemists, is if you look at Flagellant, basically you can choose a friendly model within 4 inches.
I thought that said flatulent.
No, he's a Flagellant. He beats himself for, holy...
Yeah, but he's Fangtooth, so I can imagine him being flatulent as well.
They cleaned the boils, okay? They cleaned them. There's no more smelly kid here. So, Jesus Christ. What are we doing here? So, but I like that because now, and like I said, this is another ding to Alchemist. So, hey, season 4, save Alchemist, right? So, but you can remove all the conditions on a model and he just suffers 4 damage. So this isn't a come on mate. This isn't, take a breather. This is just him saying, hey, I'll take some damage. I'll whip myself into a frenzy and now you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, in a way, though, it's come on mate for 1. A limited range come on mate for 1.
For 1 what?
For 1 momentum.
What are you talking about?
He can just heal himself.
Yeah, you don't have to, though, because how many boxes
Yeah,
does
you
this
don't
guy
have
have?
to.
22?
Yeah. I'm
Thank
just saying
goodness he can
could be.
only take 3 influence, because if he could take more than that, he would be a really, really big problem.
But I think that's the thing that saves him from being a little too much is the 3 influence.
Yeah, I thought that was a good move to give him only a 3. I think if you gave him 4, he's an auto including rage, and he just
I think he's an
destroys
auto
people.
including rage almost anyway.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but it would be way over the top.
Yeah, but a 7-inch move, 2-inch melee, he's still. Jeez.
So something I do like about him is, and as I got to pull this friggin' back up, is looking at his abilities. So going back to it, so he doesn't have tough hide, but he does have resilience, which is glut mass today. So looking at that, you have to come in. You either have to use a character play or something from range, which is great because people have to waste influence. But his counterattacks are actually pretty decent. He's got a push on 2, and he has a double push knockdown on 3. So, it's not reliable counterattack, but it definitely can screw your opponent over if you hit it. Especially those.
Yeah, and with the 2 armor, knowing that you're erasing 2 successes anyway.
Yep. Yeah, I like him a lot. Hopefully Lon is, smiling somewhere that now he has a veteran Fangtooth that, doesn't suck.
Oh, but it doesn't play for his fishies.
Yeah. He's hoping for that season 4. Season 4, save us. All right, so any last minute kind of comments or anything else that you guys want to share? So I kind of mentioned my Solthesian lineup. So how can you guys picture this team winning now that it's going to be its own minor guild in season 4?
2-2.
2-2 easy?
Yeah, that'll be what people go for.
Okay.
Because you have too many creative ways that you can score, so you're going to find 2 goals somehow. And then I have no problem believing that Fangtooth and Spigot can get another takeout somewhere.
Getting set up,
or,
maybe.
Or if you take Benediction as well, right? So those 3 models can get another takeout or 2 someplace.
You know, I also don't hate Harry in this team. I think Harry's got some, utility. He has goad. He has, a decent knockdown on 3. Definitely.
Inspiring hat.
Yeah, inspiring hat. Oh my God, inspiring hat. I forgot about. Yeah, that'll be good. Dodges for days.
I think this team can go anywhere from. They now have the possibility of a 4-1 to a 3-0. So it makes. I mean, seeing these 2 models, Spigot and Fangtooth.
I think 4-1 might be tough. I mean, obviously it's not impossible, but just the fact of how fast they can score, I think 2-2 is definitely a lot easier.
Right.
I think finding 2 goals is easier than finding 4 takeouts for this team.
Well, the interesting thing is these models answer the problem of them not being able to get the 3rd score in both directions, right?
Yeah.
Like the fact that you can chain stuff together using Fangtooth's abilities, using Season Spigot's abilities means that it does open up a possibility for the 3rd goal.
Yeah.
But they also answer it the other direction where putting Fangtooth and Season Spigot and, Harry or Benediction or whomever with them that can do some damage mean that they can get a couple takeouts. So, they did a good job here. I'm interested to see because I know, Pete, you believe that these 2 kind of fix Season Brisket's problems, but I still think that Season Brisket, in and of herself, needs some adjusting.
Well, what I was telling, and I kind of said this a little bit earlier, but I see Brisket having about 4 influence on her now. So basically, I would use Season Brisket kind of like as the waiting for, the dogs to bring her back the bone, right? Almost like, when Season Spigot gets that ball is gone, or when, Mist peels the ball off, or when Fangtooth, knocks down a model. What you do then is you basically say, okay, I have 4 influence, 2 for balls gone, 1 for a run, and 1 for shooting the goal. So you don't need to load her up with 6. I think giving her 4 influence a turn is going to be efficient, and it's going to set you up for just reacting to the flow of the game and the board.
Yeah, the question is how you use the I'm open. And I don't know an easy answer for that, but we'll find out.
What do you mean how you use I'm open?
Well, with 4 influence, it's just if she's trying to do what she's done in the past where she kicks and gets it back and then kicks, you're looking at, that's 4 right there, and that's not even a run or anything like that. So I mean, I probably still see her taking a 5 in many cases, but I'm not like I said, I haven't played this, so
well, because like Season Spigot has a heroic that also is like, hey, kick me the ball. So Season Spigot can do the same thing where he's like, okay, I'm gonna pass to whoever, and then okay, now kick me the ball back. So it's just it's really almost like a pinball wizard. Like if you're really good at lining up those shark goals,
man, we should have played Pinball Wizard as our entry in this.
If you're going to be a pinball wizard, and you're really good with those shark goals and fish teams, I think this is another scoring team where you're just going to have a crap ton of fun.
Yeah, this is going to be a scoring focused team that is a janky scoring focused team as opposed to a straightforward one like the fish.
And I think Season Brisket will get some tweak, but I mean, I think it's just going to be
6
clean.
influence or 6 tack.
I don't know about 6 tack, but I think they're going to clean up her playbook. I think her playbook is a big thing that's kind of hindering her right now.
Sure, I'm willing to take either.
So they might either replace a character play that maybe gives her an ability to dodge, or maybe they just clean it up to make it more efficient for her to score. So that's just kind of my thoughts on it. So,
yeah, I wouldn't mind revamps on the character plays and a change to the playbook or an increase in tack. One of those
Yeah, and I think that's what I'm saying. The one thing I've noticed is that Steamforged is very good at noticing when something doesn't work, and they're also pretty good at tweaking it to where it makes sense and it works. I think you can see that with the Theron rework. You can see that with the Hammer rework, that they're pretty good at tweaking stuff when they notice it being busted most of the time. So
Yeah.
I have a lot of faith in that. So, John, any last closing thoughts about the Solticians?
Oh man, I'm just over here thinking about all sorts of weird, janky, ridiculously long goal runs you can make with brisket and fangtooth and spigot and
And missed.
pass, pot belly pass, get it back, pass it to somebody else. I'm open, dodge. I don't know, it's fun.
So, for
All
you,
things are ridiculous.
so for a lot of new players that don't kind of understand the amount of ball pressure that almost like top end scorers can like make the game, just extremely hard to hide the ball from. If you haven't played against like Mist, Hammer, and Flint, a lot of people like running that because you run Hammer down the middle and you run Mist and Flint on the flanks. And after you score a goal, let's say with Hammer, it's like, okay, where are they going to throw the ball in? You got Mist on one side and you got Flint on the other.
That's my go-to Masons lineup.
Yeah. So it's kind of, and it's any fish lineup, right? So it's the same thing here where I can definitely see running Spigot down the middle, Brisket on one side, and Mist on the other. And it's going to be very difficult to hide the ball against that threesome.
Yeah, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend this lineup that we've been talking about for a new player just because you'll have to know when to trigger those janky kickbacks and that sort of thing. So, I mean, like, for newer players, if you want a scoring lineup, I definitely recommend something like that fish lineup or something like the Masons one that you talked about.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this one's going to be better on the top end because you're going to be able to see those character plays and when it's going to be useful and when it's going to be good for you to kill a model. So, yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
All right, so we talked about the Union. We talked about some other things that, kind of tilted us a little bit. But anything else that you guys feel like you need to sound off on before we kind of kick down the road here? Bueller.
I'm getting. Nope. Moving on. Keep.
I think we cover what we got for this episode.
All right. Well, before we get going, is there any kind of, I don't want to say background information or any kind of, juicy hotness you can give anybody attending the STC, John? Keeping it.
I'm gonna post some prizes on the event page. I'm gonna post some pictures in the next week or so.
Okay.
So check the event page. Watch there.
Oh, I do have something that I'm going to share. So the guy that John was frustrated with, Dan White from the pitch, for saying that, and I actually, so just so you know, John and the listeners know, I still do think that Harriet's kind of the better piece. That's just me, and the reason why I sent Dan like a list of things because he's like, oh, she's only good in certain situations, and I'm like, no, I always throw 2 on her, and here's why. And I just kind of listed things off like, she can scatter the ball off of somebody that has the ball. She can score because she has a pretty good scoring threat. She has Inspiring Hat, so if you're scoring, she's giving you free dodges. She puts out a bunch of damage because she has 2 damage on 2. She has Sucker Punch at 8 inches. She can trigger that through hitting other models. She can kill squishy models. Like, people were bitching about Vet Minx. Harriet fucking owns Vet Minx. It's like, I go into the bear, I fucking Sucker Punch a bunch of times, Vet Minx is dead. Goodbye. See you later. Fuck your 5-1 Vet Minx. Fuck it in your stupid ass.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just, because that's the thing. I'm tired of people bitching about just like, oh, I don't know how to, do this, or this. And it's just like, when you give somebody an option, they kind of poo-poo it. You know what I'm saying? They're kind of like, oh, well, yeah, whatever. It's like, well, no, this is an option to counter X model. You need to execute that. It's the same thing with Vet Decimate. Is she kind of tough to deal with? Yeah. But you want to know what? You can kill Vet Decimate with a lot of those beater teams. That's kind of her counter, right? So,
Yeah.
Bazinga!
So it's just same thing that we were kind of bitching about the Union. Yes, they're going to be tough to deal with. Can you beat them? Sure, you can beat them. questionable.
Can who beat him? Can Chris beat him? Or can I?
Maybe not.
Can I beat him?
Maybe not.
Can
John.
you beat him? Can we beat him? I don't know.
You want to know how we're going to beat him? We're going to
By
join
playing
him.
him?
We're going to join him.
Yeah.
So
By picking up that box and
Yep.
putting Fangtooth and Seasoned Spigot in your Rage lineup, yes.
So that's kind of what I'm saying is that just get in there. I think Harriet's better just because she's more. I shouldn't say. Actually, I think she is more flexible. Chisel makes the Masons more flexible, but I think that Harriet's just a more flexible piece just because she can respond to what's going on with the board, defensive or offensively. So, I mean, that's just kind of my thoughts. But anyways, that's just like my opinion, man.
I mean, that's old. That's last week.
That was last week. So,
Yeah.
But anyways, what I was kind of getting on with, Mike, before I, kind of went on that side tangent, because it just popped in my head. But he actually did something cool, and you guys might have seen this. He's doing like the best of each state on Longshanks thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Have you seen that, John?
I have. I'm waiting for him to come south.
So he is coming to the South. He's getting Tennessee and a couple other states. I already gave him information on South Carolina and North Carolina.
Okay.
So you should see old John Stokes on there sometime soon. And then old
Can
Drunken
you,
Master.
can you repeat that name one time for us?
So
You mean Josh Stokes?
yeah, so the best player in North Carolina is Josh Stokes,
Yeah.
Good
the
luck
com-
finding him on Longshanks.
the comeback kid.
The comeback kid.
And John, I gotta say, man, I mean, there's like, it's funny watching John like go through a tournament because there's some times where he's like looking away from the tournament. You can tell he wants just to throw his hat on the ground because that's his like signature move.
It's
Is
a
he-
coaching thing.
Yep, it's a coaching thing. And then next thing you know, you'll kind of see him just like shaking the hand, and all of a sudden he won it. It's like, dude, how did you fucking win that game? Like the game he won, like I thought, like I literally, and I felt bad. I talked to the Brewers player. I was like, yeah, man, at least you didn't get a goose egg this tournament. You ended up getting a win. He's like, I lost. I was like, what?
Like,
Oh,
I
wait,
tell you
he
to
had to
stop
come back
talking.
against the guy that went 0-3?
Yes.
Man, you're a dick, John. Like,
He missed like
that poor guy.
Was it a tap in with Lucky or was it a 6-inch goal with Lucky?
You know, it was a 6-inch goal. But Chris, you can't talk shit and bitch about your dice anymore as bad as
That's true.
I went 0 for 6 passing the ball and then missed a goal too.
Well, see,
A bonus
now
time
you
goal.
know what it's fucking like.
John
Yeah.
actually.
Did you know what I did? I got the fuck over and won the game.
Did you? Hey, why don't you tell us what you did on Friday
On Friday. What was Friday?
to your dice before we went to bed?
Oh, we burned some sage, man, to get rid of the evil spirits in them.
Wow.
Hey, I'm trying shit. What are
So
you doing?
I'm sleeping on the couch, and before we crack out, here's John and his, girlfriend just lighting sage, trying to get rid of the evil voodoo on his dice.
You got to do what you got to do. It obviously did not work, though.
Oh man, good times.
Just got to buy new dice now.
Yep.
I think this is the thing. It's like cell phones. You go with them so long, and then they're like meant to die, so you buy more. It's a Chessex thing. They die after a while, and you got to buy some more.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
That's my theory.
I don't know. I'm sticking with those How's That dice. They've been rolling pretty well for me.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, I think we're going to roll some dice and throw some salt. Y'all stay salty.
Okay, can do that.